We are recording. George, George, what are you wearing?
I wanted to feel like I actually got that pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I wanted to look like a European detective.
For those of you who are just listening, George is wearing a virtual cap and mustache and goatee.
This actually looks really quite
I was
realistic,
just gonna
doesn't
say,
it?
is the goatee real? Did you grow that?
No, because we're watching it. There you go, Disappearance. I was on
Hey,
the call a little bit early and I was like, oh, look what I can do. I
that's
thought this is a good look.
it's such a good look. Oh my goodness. Welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Macabre and Company. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are. George, you're looking so fancy.
Thank you so much.
I am
Wait, so do I have to pull something up now to watch during this? Is that what you're
no,
saying?
no, you don't need to pull
Okay.
anything up to watch. Nothing for you to
Oh my
watch.
gosh. I'm so
No,
excited to see about this episode.
I am so excited. I've gone down a rabbit hole. I am obsessed. This has changed my life for the better. Yeah. But first, let's get into our tarot card drawing, shall we?
Yes, so I actually sent a specific attention today. And I said, how will Erica's weekend be? Let me just pull up the note here. Just for fun, I thought let's do it
Hmm.
about Erica's weekend. Let's just
Oh
do
my
it,
gosh, I love
had
that.
a little bit of a moment. The Six of Cups. So it says the Six of Cups upright often symbolizes nostalgia, harmony, and the joy of revisiting pleasant memories. Erica's weekend is likely to be filled with a sense of comfort and emotional warmth, perhaps involving reconnection with an old friend or family members. She may find herself in a familiar place that evokes happy memories, bringing a sense of peace and continence. Sorry, wrong word. Contentment. Incontinence.
Stop it. You know I'm going home on
However,
Sunday.
I know that's so weird, huh?
It's
This is
so
literally
weird.
what I have this app now for the meaning. So you draw your card, you put the card
Wow.
in that you draw, and it tells you about it with your intentions.
Oh my
However,
gosh.
the challenge lies in not becoming too lost in the past. While it's wonderful to enjoy these moments of reminiscence, Erica should also be open to creating new memories and experiences, like ghost hunting.
Ghost hunting.
Embracing the present while cherishing the past will make her weekend both fulfilling and balanced.
Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Sunday, we are flying from Australia to Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, to see my family. That's like, wow. Oh my gosh, I have chills. That is so
Is there
eerie.
there's not a family event, you're just going for fun?
There will be, I mean, we're
Or
having a
was there
bit
a
of a
specific
reunion.
reason?
No, we go back every
Fun.
year, but that is kind of like my non-negotiable with moving to Australia that I need to go back home once a year. So I'll
Yeah.
always go back, but and my family kind of has a bit of a reunion during the time we're there, but there's not a specific reason that we went this time. I'm just that's
Fun.
woo, you are magical. You're so magical with that premonition.
You're
That is
magical. Now it's on my phone. The meanings, boom. Because I have a book and I have a notebook, which is good for when I'm sat doing it with friends. Like whenever people come over now, the cards come out,
yeah, of course.
you know? But if I'm just doing it on my own, I can draw a card and I can look up the meaning on my phone. But put
Yeah.
your intention in and it kind of reads the intention. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. I love it. Can I tell you what we're doing today?
Yes, please.
I am telling you all about the time that Australia lost a prime minister. Just like completely lost him into the ether, poof, vanished, gone,
Gone.
gone. Harold Holt is his name. He was Australia's 17th prime minister, and he disappeared from Port Sea, Victoria on December 17th, 1967. Now, I need to do a disclaimer because this is
Wait,
not
1960. How long do presidents do their terms for there?
great question. This is not, I was about
Never
to say,
mind.
this is not a political
Prime Minister,
podcast.
sorry.
Yeah, that's something that's interesting about Australia is like the States, all of the land is called states here, but similar to Canada, we have a prime minister here, not a president. Um,
Right.
I want to say it's the same. I should really learn this. I'm going to need to do a citizenship test in a year. So I will practice learning how long people are in power for. um, Now, I need to preface this bit by telling you that this is
Hmm.
not a political podcast. I am
No,
not a
no, not
political
at all.
expert, but I do need to do a little bit of background into Harold so that you kind of understand why this is such a spooky mystery. So he
Got
was
it.
born in Sydney in 1908, and his parents were school teachers. and his parents divorced when he was 10 and he moved to Melbourne. He attended Wesley College in Melbourne, which FYI is the state that I live in. I'm in Melbourne here. And he went on to study law at the University of Melbourne. He played football, cricket, tennis. He was very sporty. He was like your all around like classic Aussie bloke, like swim, shoot, not like guns because they don't have them, but well, they did at that point. Yeah, if you like very sporting ability, lots of character, lots of leadership, like charming politician. And he graduated as a lawyer in 1930 and was admitted to the bar in 1931. He worked as a solicitor. He did kind of all of these things, lots of political things, politics. He did a lot of government stuff, lots and lots of politics, lots of being appointed to certain councils. And in fact, when he became prime minister, he had been in like the cabinet in parliament for 30 years before he actually became prime minister. Yeah, so he was around. He was around a lot.
Stuff.
He knew his stuff. He had a variety of posts. He spent time as the Minister for Labor and National Service, Scientific and Industrial Research, kind of a bunch of these things. While Prime Minister Menzies is still in office.
We keep saying that.
I know, I don't know why. He brought in a national child endowment scheme for second and subsequent children, so people kind of got bonuses and things for having more children. Harold met a lovely lady called Zara Dickens at university, and they were instantly attracted, absolutely obsessed with each other, and planned to marry after university. However, they had some financial disputes. I couldn't really find out what, and they then separated after that. So Zara went on a trip to Britain, met this army officer.
I love that name, Zara.
Zara, I know.
It's very glamorous, isn't it?
It is very glamorous. I know a few Zaras out here. It's more common than in North America. She met an army officer, she married him, and declined an additional marriage proposal from Harold Holt while she came home briefly in 1935. So she was in Britain, like living her best life with this husband. And in 1937, she came back to Australia to give birth to her first child. So I promise this is going somewhere.
I'm listening intently. She's been around.
She's in England with her husband. She's pregnant with that baby. She's coming home to give birth with her family. Gives birth to her first child in 1937. Now in 1939, in Australia, while her husband's in Britain. In 1939, she had twins. After these twins her marriage kind of broke down, and she returned to Australia in 1940. After which Harold and Zara resumed their relationship. And they married in 1946. Now, Harold actually adopted her 3 sons. However, it's a bit of an open secret that the youngest twins were actually Harold's, because Zara was in Australia for the time that they were conceived, and then went back to England, had her marriage fall apart, had her twins. So it seems, some drama.
Someone's maths off.
Yeah. The maths aren't mathing. The due dates are a little wonky. So it's kind of, because she was in the middle of a divorce, it was kind of a whole thing when she came back to Australia. So it's a bit of a, like I say, open secret that those kids are actually Harold's by blood. Now, Zara was a successful businesswoman herself. She owned a chain of dress shops. Oh. And even when her husband was prime minister, she out-earned him. She was doing really well for herself. She was a fashion advisor for uniforms for Expo 67 in Montreal. And Zara also stated that her husband carried out the dozens of extramarital affairs. Like dozens. Oh, wow. Can you imagine dozens? Can you imagine having dozens of extramarital affairs? Yeah, he was getting around. So a little bit about that. Now, he continued to work in government. He was a deputy leader of the Liberal Party under Menzies, and he did some really cool things. So he was the Minister for Immigration in 1949 to 1956 and worked on various migration schemes. He kind of put into place the dismantling of the White Australia policy, which was in practice since 1901. The White Australia policy is that the whole idea was to keep quote unquote undesirable immigrants, who are people that weren't European, out of Australia. Yeah. So there was a dictation test that nobody could pass, essentially. And so that kept all of the immigrants out unless they were British. So Holt abolished this test. And then in the 70s, they really started to dismantle the White Australia Act. So that is something that he really started. It was
So he
really
was
progressive
good
of him.
though.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was good. He was good. He
he's a
did,
good prime minister.
he was a good prime minister. I am not allowed to vote here yet, but if I was and I was here in that time, I would have voted for him. Like I am obsessed. Like Harold, call me. Diva, let's go. But he did also kind of receive a little bit of like he was controversial. First of all, he was really supporting these um controversial things like getting rid of the White Australia
Right.
Act. He really supported the Vietnam War. So he had a really close relationship with Lyndon B. Johnson. He went to really support them and like confirmed full support of the Vietnam War and sent 6,000 Australian soldiers by the end of 1966 to Vietnam, which was the first, including the
I thought
first.
Australia stayed out of everything.
Not everything, not everything.
Most
They
things, though,
just
right?
most, yeah,
Yeah.
I think
They're
so.
like, we're having a good old time down here.
We're really far away. Like we don't want to be bothered. That
Carry
group
on.
actually included the first conscripts, so non-volunteers, like the first group of soldiers that were forced to go to war were in that group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So not the best. However, his ministry, the Holt ministry, included Senator Annabel Rankin as the Minister for Housing, and she was the first Australian woman to administer a federal government department. So he's for the girls.
He's for the girls. Girl
He's for the
power.
girls, yeah, which I love. We love to hear it. And he also was for the arts. He announced the establishment of the National Gallery of
Look up his
Victoria,
face.
of Australia, sorry, which didn't open until 82, but it was the first arts-related major infrastructure project that was funded by the federal government, as well as starting the Australia Council for the Arts, which was the first national arts council. So he really put some of these things into place for there to be support of the arts in Australia. The other thing that was super progressive that he did was include Aboriginal Australians to be counted in the national census, which hadn't been done before 1967. They only
Wow.
counted white Australians, so they could count people of Aboriginal descent and full-blooded, quote unquote, Aboriginal Australians to be included in the
They
census.
just wouldn't count them in the census as though they
No,
weren't there.
yeah, correct.
That's crazy.
Right. So he was really progressive
Yikes.
in his thinking, which is really,
Good.
really fantastic in so many ways. He also was here and in charge for the change of currency from pounds to dollars.
Oh, good.
So really, like really vast things that he was responsible for, and fun. Like he was only prime minister from the 26th of January 1966 to 19th December 1967. So like
Oh, wow.
less than a year that he was prime minister. So such a
Are
short
we going to find
time.
out why?
We are going to find out why. So
Oh, my God.
keen outdoorsman, like we said, he was a spearfisher, he was a swimmer, he
He likes
had,
like barbecuing and sports and
yeah,
stuff.
he sports, yay, sports, did all of those things, and he swam a lot. So on the morning of December 17th, he left his holiday home in Portsea and went for a swim in the turbulent Chevrolet Beach. It was hot, it was humid. December in Australia is the middle of summer. And there was a lot of choppy water. He was like, no, don't worry, I've got this. I'm a swimmer. I am going for a swim. And just off he went into the ocean. And with him there, his mistress, Marjorie Gillespie, was there.
I had a maths teacher called Mrs. Gillespie.
Mrs. Gillespie, yeah.
Anyway,
Good old
yeah.
Marjorie. She was also there. So there were witnesses. Off he went to go for a swim like he always did. And then he was gone.
Okay, so I'm gonna say what I would think. First off,
Yeah.
Australia, right? You think sharks?
You would think sharks, wouldn't you? That's absolutely something that people thought. The crazy thing, and the reason there's so many conspiracy theories, is because they've never found his body.
Well,
So if it was sharks,
yeah,
wouldn't there be like
yikes.
pieces floating places? Sorry, that was graphic. Wouldn't it, like there would
Well,
be
no, we
if there was
are.
we are more, yeah, we are macabre here. But if he had encountered a shark, surely you would find bits.
Yeah.
So
Wow. So he got in for a swim.
got in for a swim.
Okay, other things that it could be.
So
I'm just
I'm
gonna
gonna
take some guesses. Wild
yeah, take
guesses.
some wild guesses.
You tell me.
Well, I was just about to say that he wasn't
Maybe.
the only one that went into the water either. Like out of I think there are 4 or 5 of them, and only this
Oh,
fellow called Alan Stewart went into the water. But Holt like he went for a swim as he would do, and when Alan got out, his mistress Marjorie described it like a leaf being taken out so quick and final. She's flair for the dramatic, our Marjorie.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what do you think?
Political assassination.
Right? It does seem like he was a man who
Kidnapping.
made some enemies, right? He had many mistresses. He maybe was the father of these children. Like,
But yeah. Also, I'm thinking Australia. What else do they have? Crocodiles.
not in the
What else do they
ocean.
have? Spiders.
Yeah.
Everything in Australia is dangerous.
It's true. It is true. Um, and like
Um,
sneaky dangerous. Do you want to hear some theories?
yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
so there's a few. So was he assassinated? The year before Holt disappeared, the opposition leader Arthur Falwell survived an assassination attempt by a student at an anti-conscription rally. So having conscripts to war was something that the Australian students were not excited about. Um, could be. It could be. After he disappeared, the police found what looked like a bullet hole in a window of the Prime Minister's office, encouraging the theory that he may have been murdered. Could have been an assassination. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Well, why would the bullet hole be there
I don't know. And did they pay like
if
that's the
he was
thing?
in the water?
If he was in the water, did they maybe pay all of the people with him to like, or
Wait,
did
so
they pay
go
them
back to
off and
the
say, go back to
yeah,
that?
say don't tell anyone.
Yeah, if they
So
like
the
were bought people's
who was in the
alibis.
water with him one more time? Who was in the water with him? His
Alan,
wife.
no, his mistress was on the shore. His
Mistress was
mistress
on
was
the
there,
shore.
and there was a fellow called Alan Stewart who did join him in the water, but then got out because it was rocky. So the other hunch that so when he disappeared, also like millions, hundreds of people, thousands probably sent letters to the police and the government. And one of the letters from an American lawyer suggested that perhaps it was foreign sabotage, like poison. There was poison in the picnic lunch that only kicked in when he got into the ocean. But then again, where is the body?
Where's the body?
Where's the body?
Sharks. We'll get back to the shark theory.
It always comes back to sharks. Okay, there's
Now, is
another
there
one.
sharks all the way around Australia though? Or is it only in certain places? Because it's pretty big.
It is pretty big. I mean, there are places that they are more frequent. This particular bay, I think, would not be so conducive to sharks. It is quite shallow and it's quite choppy. Like it's not shallow for like humans, but for boats, for submarines, for sharks, it might be a little shallow. And it's quite choppy. Like it's not going to be a great place to fish if you're a shark.
Yeah, maybe he was kidnapped, just taken. Maybe someone.
The next one.
Oh, it is? Someone, they went
Yeah.
up on a boat and grabbed him, maybe?
Yeah. So there's a fellow called Scott Cooper, who's an Aussie writer, wrote a book in 1974 based on details from a friend and a spy who was killed in 1974 and claimed that Holt was accidentally killed in a botched kidnapping related to his plan to
Oh,
increase troops in
shit.
Vietnam. So some people theorize that he was
Oh,
kidnapped
shit.
and tortured for information.
Wow.
Right. So that's another one. Um, Accident. Simplest explanation. It's just an accident.
Drowned.
Drowned. Tony
Drowned,
Ableton
shark got him.
just drowned. His body just went out to sea. His former press
And the shark,
secretary,
sharks, probably.
the sharks, yeah. His former press secretary just said, basically, I think his quote is basically, I think that people just find it very hard to accept that a prime minister can go for a swim on a Sunday afternoon, just like everyone else, end up misjudging the situation and drowning. But that's what happened. To that, I say, a likely story from the press secretary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, cover up.
Yeah, cover up.
Inside
Cover up.
job. Inside job, maybe.
Maybe.
Aliens could also be a thing.
Well, now this one I'm going to say next is kind of the most maybe dynamic. Some might say out there, some might say too far.
I'm going to love it.
Was he a Chinese spy? So, British writer Anthony Gray alleged in 1983, in this book here that I have called The Prime Minister Was a Spy, that I will be reading and summarizing in a book club for the Patreon. So,
I'm going to try and get a copy of it. I wonder if I can get a copy on
Maybe
Amazon.
I can send it to you when I'm home in Canada once I read it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be a package.
I would love that.
So This author alleges that he'd been a Chinese spy for more than 20 years and was picked up by a submarine and taken back to China. Now, Holt's wife Zara dismissed this theory by saying allegedly that he didn't even like Chinese cooking, which to me is not a good defense. It's like that seems like it wouldn't matter if you're a spy, you eat what you eat. Like,
Was he of Chinese heritage? No,
no,
he was Australian.
yeah,
So why would he be a Chinese spy? Like, they just offered him loads of money.
yeah, I guess. And this is also the reason I said like that
So
he had so
ridiculous.
many, I know, right? He had 30 years in the government before he even was appointed prime minister. So he would have known a lot. He had a lot of information. He had his hands in a lot of different departments. He was in the Department of Defense for a little bit. His grandson probably isn't true because Cheviot Beach is too shallow and the currents are too treacherous for a submarine to like get to shore. However, I say he was a really talented swimmer. He was strong. He was fit. He swam there all the time. He could have just swum right out, met the submarine.
Yeah, I think that was a bit far-fetched. I think
Yes,
but I'm excited to read the book.
I know, right?
Because what would he do? Like, he doesn't know anyone in China. Like, he's just going to go
But
there.
how do you know? How do you know he doesn't know anyone in China? If he was a Chinese spy for 20 years, he wouldn't have
So
been in
wait, what
China.
year is this again? 19.
67.
So he could still
67.
be alive.
He could be.
He could be really old.
He was born in 1908. It seems unlikely. But there is
Oh
another.
yeah, it just seemed unlikely actually, you're right.
There's a couple. So there was has been some theory that he was trying to end his own life, but there were really no indications that he didn't intend to come back. He was, making plans. He was really excited. He was a new prime minister. However, the tense, like political post-World War II climate really fueled those rumors at the time. Additionally, some people thought maybe he faked his own death. There were some letters written and sent to authorities that say he faked his own death to run off with a mistress, to which I say if he had dozens
He
of
does like the
mistresses,
ladies. Yeah.
yeah, we
He
know he
does like
likes
the
them.
ladies, so
Maybe he just disappeared and like lived out his days somewhere else.
maybe he'd fallen in love with like I'm gonna write a story now in my head. He'd fallen in love with a like Chinese politician,
Oh.
right? Because he knew them all,
Mm, yeah.
all
And
that stuff that you do.
the other thing I have to say, like with his wife, with Zara saying he didn't even like Chinese food, like just because you're a Chinese spy doesn't mean you have to eat Chinese food. They could have picked him up and taken him somewhere else in Asia where he does like the food. Like that's such a weird defense to me. Like, oh, he doesn't even like Chinese food. Doesn't mean he's not a spy.
That doesn't mean he's not a spy.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like Chinese food?
Right? That seems suspicious.
Well, I think she's suspicious because I love me some
Additionally,
Chinese food.
I am proposing another, I'm proposing a half-cooked theory that maybe you can help me finish off because I noticed in my research that there have been 3 prime ministers who have died in active office. Joseph Lyons, who was 59, John Curtin, who's 60, and Harold Holt, who's 59, all around the same age within a year of each other. Is there something to do with that age? Like prime ministers at that age must be killed by somebody. I don't know. I don't know what the rest of that theory is, but it's a weird coincidence, no?
Yeah, babe.
Weird.
Really weird.
Yeah.
That is weird. And it's such a big like a big thing for like someone of that power to go missing.
Yeah. To be clear, the other 2 didn't go missing, but the other 2 just died. But it's weird that they all died while they were in office. They're all around the same age. Harold Holt was the only one that was disappeared. That disappeared completely. Was disappeared. Sounds really sinister. And then my favorite thing about this whole story, because Australia it's a deeply unserious nation. Like they take a lot of pride in tricking people and gotchaing people, like the whole drop bear thing. They really enjoy a national joke. There is
I
in
love
this
that.
state, right? It's fun. It is fun. It's I am on edge a lot, but it is fun. They have a Harold Holt swimming center in this state. They've named
Oh
a
my
pool
God.
after him.
That's the most Australian thing ever.
Right? This like prime minister that is presumed dead by drowning. You're gonna name a swimming center after him. I need
That's
to go
brilliant.
drive by it. I'm gonna drive by it and take a photo.
I need you to go there. You should go
About
there and see if you can get hold of his ghost.
Oh, I should. Okay.
Take
When I come
Doris.
back.
Ask Doris when you see Doris. Next stop,
Queen, I've got a man for
Melbourne.
you. Doris, have I got someone for you? Let's hook them up. So
Wow. Well, I guess we'll never know, but I'm excited
yeah,
for the book. So I'm excited to read the book
yeah.
and see what that theory is.
What do you think is the most likely?
I think he probably got drowned and eaten by a shark,
Oh, that's so
to be
not
honest. But I
dramatic.
don't have faith in the Australian wildlife. Never have,
Yeah, fair.
you know,
Fair.
to be
Fair.
honest. But also that or political, like a political thing. Like
Yeah.
someone got him,
Yeah, it does seem more
you
likely.
know.
I think the Chinese submarine is absolutely the most fun of them all. However, it seems quite outrageous.
For sure
Um,
it is the most fun. I mean, that's
yeah,
pretty cool. It's
it
pretty
is
James
pretty
Bond
cool.
of someone to be able to get out in a submarine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a fun thing to think about. It would make a great movie. Also, I think earlier I said he was only prime minister for about a year, but it was close to two. I was doing bad countings. Um,
That's okay. I don't think
and
he's gonna be offended.
no, it's interesting as well. Like once when since I've been researching this, I've brought it up to different Aussies. And it's interesting to hear the reactions. Some of them are like Chinese submarine, and some like the poor man drowned. Like they'll leave him just there's no mystery.
Let
And
him be.
which is how his relatives feel. They're like he was such a like passionate politician and did so much like great work for change that it's a shame that this is his legacy.
Yeah, that's true. I
That's
wonder if there's any merch from like his like campaign run.
I did look for some like any like Harold Holt thing I could find, and I didn't really find anything
Harold Holt merch.
Harold Holt rich. No, I didn't, but we
That's
could
funny.
create some. We could create some. That could be our first merch drop.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Wow. I love that. What a great story.
isn't
I'm
that
excited to read the
wild?
book. Yeah, that's
Yes.
pretty wild. It's pretty
Um,
wild that they don't know what happened.
I know. Just gone. Where's the body?
That's crazy.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Stuff
Um,
like that makes me nervous though, because I'm like, what if I go missing and no one ever finds a body?
you won't. It's not 1967.
I know. Yeah. Also, no one wants this anyway. No one
Well, and
wants
there's so
this.
many
No one
cameras
cares.
now. Like you would, it'd be like you'd find all the footage of you like going about your day and walking the dog.
That's
Like
true.
they'd access all the cameras. We'd know where you went.
Oh yeah, I post every second of my life on Instagram anyway. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, speaking of Instagram, do you want to tell the people where to find us?
yeah, you can find us at Macabre and Company on Facebook and Instagram, sorry, and TikTok, and also on Patreon.
Oh, yes, you
Wow.
can. Patreon /
Oh yes, you
Macabre and
can. We're so
Company.
fancy.
I know, so fancy.
Legit, baby.
It's very
What does the rest
exciting.
of your evening look like? Oh, wait, you're starting your day because it's in Australia.
Yeah, it's 11:30. I am going to go into work. I am going to go for a workout. I'm going to it's cold and wintry, but it looks like the sun is shining, so that's exciting. And yeah, really excited to probably edit this tonight because I'm loving editing. I'm loving this whole process.
Oh,
I'm so excited
good.
to release things.
Okay, okay.
And I need to get reading
Well,
this book.
oh yeah. Well, have
Mhm.
a great evening, everyone.
Yeah, have a
You,
wonderful.
Erica, great day. It's
Yeah.
lit here. It's well, it's not lit. It's
Yeah, what are you doing?
6:33.
Have you
I'm
had
gonna
dinner? Is it dinner
make
time?
dinner. It's
Mm.
dinner. Yeah, I'm gonna make a curry, like a British like fish and chips. I have this vegan fish that's like battered, so it's like fish and
Ooh.
chips. But instead of like chips, I do roasted potatoes, and I'm gonna do a curry sauce over the top of it, like fish chips and curry sauce.
Oh,
Boom.
wow. Yum. That
Yeah,
sounds
it's
like
gonna be really good.
amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Slay. Well, I won't
Well,
keep you
have a
from
great
that anymore.
evening,
You
day.
too. Bye, friends.
Yeah.
And until next
Bye,
time,
friends. Stay
stay
spooky.
spooky. I like that one. That was good. Robert points out that